here I have the OnePlus 13R, the, I guess, little brother to the 13, which I have right here and we unboxed earlier in the week. And I'm actually pretty excited to check it out because I like to consider the 13R kind of like the base OnePlus 13. And then the 13, this is the Pro. This is like the Pro Max Extra Plus model, you know, the one that gets all the bells and whistles, the flagship. Is what it is. And then this is like your base model that you would get if you don't want to spend all that extra money on a flagship. So without further ado, let's jump into the unboxing. We'll get to the OnePlus Watch 2R later on. This was also a free gift with the OnePlus 13R when I pre-ordered and I bought it. So I got the OnePlus Watch 2 actually as well with the OnePlus 13. So these two kind of go together. And then the 13R and go with the 2R. So curious to check out what's the major difference between these two watches as well. But right now we want to focus on the phone. So we got OnePlus 13R branding on the side, your specs and info on the back, and that's pretty much it. Inside the box here. Oh, that's different. So on the back or on the sides here, it's red instead of it being black like it is on the OnePlus 13. So red box all around, red cartridge as well. So this was black on the 13, so that's kind of different. Inside of here, you get your paperwork, and then you also still get a USB-A, I just dropped all the paperwork, and USB-C to transfer data. And this fell, but you also get a SIM injection tool. Right? And then up top here, you get your phone. But of course, like usual, we'll save that for last because you also get the charger. Now, again, the EU does have a regulation where manufacturers aren't required to give you the charger anymore. So you don't get this if you're in the EU, unfortunately, but at least you get one here in the US. And this looks to be, I'm not seeing the exact wattage that this can output, but I think if I'm not mistaken, according to other videos that I've seen, it should be 50 watts. Then of course you get your red cable, USB-A to USB-C. But I am curious to test, and I will test it, if this can charge with one of the 100 watts chargers if you already have that. Now taking a look at the phone itself. Right, I'm gonna take off that sticker on the back. So as you can see here, I got it in the silky black, and this feels very soft, very nice. Flat sides on the sides here of the aluminum frame. I think it's aluminum, not entirely sure, but don't quote me there. Oh, look at that. You still get the IR blaster on the OnePlus 13R. Camera module looks definitely smaller compared to the OnePlus 13. All right, don't want to make quick comparisons yet, but at first glance, first impressions, it feels pretty lightweight like the 13 felt. Got the switch on the side here, so alert slider still available. Power button, volume rocker. Matte sides. I just realized that it's a matte sides, so you don't have that glossy finish. Micro SD, or not micro SD, SIM card support, dual firing speakers. I mean, at first glance, it feels and looks a lot like just a 13. Just, you know, it might be the insides, the hardware that's different compared to the 13. So I'm gonna power this on. We also have the OnePlus 12 here and the OnePlus 13. You know, for just a quick comparison, and from what you saw there, same overall, at least what it looks like. Buttons and ports all seem the same. Of course, the major difference here is that this is now a boxier phone versus a more rounded phone, like especially compared to the OnePlus 12. OnePlus 12 is very rounded, curved edges. OnePlus 13, a little bit better on that. You know, they fixed some of that, or not fixed, you just changed it up. But the OnePlus 13R here is a lot flatter. Display here is flat, which is great. You know, some people prefer a flat display, which me personally, I'm starting to prefer as well. And I forgot to mention this at first here, but this has a screen protector still installed. So OnePlus continues to deliver on that screen protector, which is fantastic. So let's go through the setup process here. See if it's anything different. Select language, region, legal information as usual. Set up from another device. I'm actually just gonna set this up brand new. Well, I guess I could transfer the stuff over from my 13. Yeah, let's do it. Transfer over the stuff, scan the QR code. Let's see if it shows up. From the 13 over here, it does. So transferring from the 13 to the 13R here. Click setup.
5 minutes later.
So it looks like it broke or something because it's saying continue setup on your new device. But here's to asking me to scan the QR code. So I'm not entirely sure what happened. Let's try it again. Enter device. Will it pop up again? It's not popping up. That's interesting. Will it pop up on the OnePlus 12? Let's see. Okay, it did pop up over here. Let me just turn this one off and on. See if it'll show up then. Keeps popping up over here, but on the OnePlus 12, but not over here on the OnePlus 13. At least not anymore. It did the first time. Okay, so I guess I won't be able to set up the OnePlus 13R with my OnePlus 13. It kind of blows. What if I go back one more? Let's see. And now open this up and click Android. Yeah, no. What the heck? That's kind of annoying. It could be that maybe they programmed it so that the 13 won't let you transfer from a 13R because it's its little brother. So why would you want to do that? No, obviously I'm just kidding, but like it's kind of annoying that I can't transfer over the stuff from the 13 to the 13R. Yeah, I guess I'll just skip it for now. So if you want to transfer your stuff over, you could, but I'm gonna try and skip it and see how far I can get. Okay, so you got choose your Wi-Fi. One thing that I immediately noticed when I was putting the password in is that the haptic engine definitely feels cheaper compared to the OnePlus 12 and OnePlus 13. Okay, so maybe I can transfer my data over via a wire. Let's go ahead and try that. Also, oh, that smells so good. I never smelled the 13 box, but the 13R box smells really good. Like it has a scent coming out of it without me even having to sniff it. So 13R box smells really good. Yeah, that smells fantastic. Plugging into the 13. Will this work? And that didn't work either. I guess for now, we'll just continue on without transferring data. All right, I downloaded the clone app actually, and now it's actually displaying here. Now let's see if it actually works. See, it gets stuck for some reason on this. It doesn't want to continue on over here. So let me try the QR code thing. Okay. All right, now it's working. I don't know what's up with my camera here, but so I had to download the clone app from OnePlus on the OnePlus 13 and then scan the QR code as you saw there. And now it's letting me continue on here. So just a little tip there in case that ever happens to you guys. Same process as the 13 was where I select eventually here what data I want to transfer over. And that'll likely just be the apps and messages and the settings, and that's pretty much it. And here's where we can set up our biometrics, so fingerprint. All right, so computer reminder, make sure this computer you're using is a genuine one. Other computers may affect the fingerprint recognition. Yeah, and that's because this is an optical one. Of course, that was also shown on the 13, but OnePlus does include one on, and I think that's pretty genuine, so I'm gonna keep it on. Man, I don't like the placement of this fingerprint sensor. It's very, very low, very down low. So it is, again, optical compared to an ultrasonic one on the OnePlus 13. But then again, the OnePlus 12 also had an optical fingerprint sensor. So I expect this to perform pretty much on par with the OnePlus 12. And now face. So I think the facial recognition should be the same on the OnePlus 13R compared to the OnePlus 13. Enroll your face, add now. Let's see what happens with the, no way it's, okay, so it was kind of, oh, I did it. That was pretty quick, and I'm not sure if it did it pretty well, but guess we'll find out. Google services as usual. Gemini also available on this device. All right, so obviously going to take some time to copy over. So while I was doing that, I'm going to take a look at the OnePlus Watch 2R. And like I said, I have the OnePlus Watch 2 right now. I've been using it for a couple of days since I got it with the 13 as a free gift. So let's see what's different with the 2R. Okay. All right. Ooh, okay. Right off the bat, I can already feel how much lighter this is compared to the stainless steel on the OnePlus Watch 2. NFC detection area, your home button, your multi-function button, which is the same thing as the OnePlus Watch 2, just slightly different design. Definitely a lot lighter, which I think is going to be better for someone who maybe uses for a lot of working out. And stainless steel is great for protection and maybe aesthetics and just look, but definitely is pretty heavy. Inside the box, you also get paperwork and I believe the exact same charger. It wouldn't make sense for them to make a whole new charger for the 2R. I think 2R released only like a couple months after the 2, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, exact same charger. So yeah, first glance here, it looks very similar to the 2, just with slightly different materials and a slight touch to the design. So circular buttons here instead of, I'll take this Watch 2 off real quick. Circular buttons versus one circular button on the 2 and then a flat button on the 2 on the bottom, which is your multi-function button. On the OnePlus Watch 2R, it's a circular button. I wonder if so they both rotate, but I'm not sure if it'll actually work with the software, like a bezel that you can rotate, a crown, I should say, that you can rotate, because that does not work on the OnePlus Watch 2. You have this rotating crown, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't work with the software, which is kind of annoying because some apps, I think, have it programmed where they require some kind of rotating button or bezel or something to interact with it. So hopefully, maybe one of these work. If not, that'll be disappointing. But yeah, there's definitely a difference in the weight. In fact, I'll grab my scale real quick. All right, so OnePlus Watch 2 with the band that comes installed, so the stock band, weighs 80 grams. Let's just remove this piece. Oh, hello there. Oh, did not expect that. Okay, look at that. You got like little times built into the actual watch screen versus on the Watch 2. It's literally just a black display, black bezel. So the bezel here looks like it has a nice different design and touch. So again, this kind of feels like a watch that you would use for working out and going out and whatnot, or working out and exercising, not going out. Going out, I think it's more elegant to wear this one, the Watch 2. But okay, taking a look at the weight, 59 grams, so 60 grams, 20 grams lighter. Yeah, I think I'm going to prefer the OnePlus Watch 2R over the OnePlus Watch 2 just because of how much lighter it is. Definitely feels a little cheaper, and especially the band, holy hell. The band definitely feels a little bit different. I would say maybe a little bit cheaper feeling, but it's all because of that weight. Want to reduce the weight, I think. But I think you can use, let me just confirm, the band of the Watch 2 with the band of the Watch 2R, or just the watch itself, and vice versa. Oh yeah, you can. You can. So if you already have the Watch 2 and you want to use the same band, you could easily do that with the Watch 2R. And I believe they have the exact same sensors. I mean, it looked pretty identical to me. That's where I'll cut it with the OnePlus Watch 2R. So at first glance, definitely lighter. That's the biggest difference I'm seeing. Design, slightly different with the buttons, the stainless steel being glossy, a little bit matte finish, more of a matte finish on the aluminum. And then the display here, black bezel versus a bit of a different design on the bezel where you actually have the time on the bezel here. But otherwise, I think at first glance, it's probably going to be a better experience for someone who wants a lighter watch. And real quick, while the data is being transferred, I want to take a look at the weight. Comes in around 206 grams. What was the 13 on again? Or the 13, I mean? 212. So it's lighter than the 13. All right. And then, oh yeah, the 12 is so much heavier. I think like 224. Yeah, 224. So definitely lighter. And in the hand, honestly, it feels pretty similar, but definitely lighter compared to the OnePlus 12. Okay, so data finished transferring over. Is there anything else left in the process here? All right, so the data finished transferring over. The next part is just signing into your OnePlus account if you have one. All right, so now it's going through some additional services on the software itself. I'm gonna agree to all that. The gestures, leave it as that. And just like that, we're done. OnePlus 13 in the house. Notifications, quick settings. Let's go with split, because that's what I like to use on the OnePlus 13. Okay, so I've got the phone set up. I'm gonna use this for a couple hours, maybe 24 hours or so, and then give you guys my first impressions, raw impressions of the OnePlus 13R. All right, so it's been 24 hours now since I've unboxed the OnePlus 13R. I want to give you guys my first raw impressions of the device. And I'll be honest, I think this feels like a really, really good device, especially for the price. So the price starts at $599, but you can do any kind of recycle trade-in and you'll get $100 off. So that brings it down to $499. So $500, that's definitely mid-range to mid-flagship pricing. And I think you're getting exactly what you're paying for here. So the design so far, I think it feels pretty nice. It's got pretty much a squarish block feeling device. It's flat on the sides, flat on the front screen, flat on the back glass here. I'm actually not entirely sure what kind of glass this is. I think this might be some kind of Corning Gorilla Glass versus the ceramic guard that the OnePlus 13 is using. The display quality itself is very nice. So if I go to any kind of video here, I was struggling to find any kind of difference compared to the OnePlus 13. I think the only thing, if you have them side by side and you're really looking for a difference, is going to be that the OnePlus 13R just looked a little bit warmer when it came to the whites and the highlights. But otherwise, it's a great display. I will note though that when I got it out of the box and I went into the settings, for some reason it was set to the vivid mode. So actually, let me turn off dark mode real quick because otherwise it'll be a little too reflective. But when I went to the screen color mode, it was set to vivid. And I noticed that vivid is actually the first option here. So I think what they're doing is they're targeting users who maybe don't know much about colors when it comes to displays. And so for those users, like I would say my parents, for example, they don't care about something looking natural. They just want colors that pop at them, that are vibrant, and are vivid. And so I think that's exactly what they're doing here, is that this phone is marketed for someone like that. So that's why by default, it's set to vivid. But personally, I prefer more natural colors, so I'm going to select natural. I also noticed that the Pro modes are slightly different compared to the Pro modes on the OnePlus 12 and the OnePlus 13. But for the most part, when I was going through the settings and software and all that, it's basically the exact same experience. So software-wise, you're going to get the exact same experience compared to OnePlus 13 and OnePlus 12. Now, some other places I noticed that it wasn't as great compared to the other devices was the speakers. They definitely weren't as loud and they sounded a bit tinny. So they're a little bit distorted when you got to high frequencies, low frequencies. But honestly, if you're just listening to them on their own without any other comparison or device to compare to, they sound good. They sound decent enough to listen to music, watch YouTube. You'll be fine with this kind of speakers, but definitely not the best out there. Same thing with the haptics. In fact, they don't even offer any kind of special options for haptics. It's just literally called the O haptics. You are making a sacrifice there. They don't feel as nice. In fact, I definitely prefer to keep the intensity low for these haptics on this phone because once you get them high, they definitely feel a bit cheap. Like you can almost hear the vibration sometimes. So I would prefer to keep these low. But I've definitely felt worse haptics for phones that are around this price. So I definitely think that these are decent enough, but definitely not as good as the other devices. The next thing I did notice was I won't go too deep into the cameras, but I did notice that for one, the ultra wide and the telephoto are definitely not as good compared to the other devices. The ultra wide, I found that in lower light conditions, it was more than likely going to have a lot of more noise compared to the other devices. Telephoto, it's only a 2x. So once you get past 2x, you're really going to start to see how much a good 3x telephoto or a 6x periscopic telephoto makes a difference compared to a 2x telephoto. Although I wouldn't say that the cameras are awful. I definitely think that from a couple shots that I took, it seemed decent. It seemed decent enough. I'll definitely do a deeper dive into the cameras in a full review, but first impressions, they seem decent enough. And for someone who maybe isn't a big camera person, these will definitely be fine. Another place that I noticed sacrifice was the video. So in video, you can record up to 4K 60, but you're only able to do that with the main lens. You can't do 4K 60 or even 4K 30 actually with the ultra wide or the telephoto. It does all the zooming in with the main lens and then that's pretty much it. So just the main lens for 4K. If you want to use all lenses, then you have to switch to 1080p, which I think was something that they had back with the OnePlus 11 and OnePlus 10 Pro. When you wanted to use all of those lenses, you had to use 1080p. So it's kind of like you're going back to those times, but for a cheaper price. And same thing with the front facing. Front facing, you are capped to only 1080p. You don't have any kind of 4K on the front. So I'll show you guys a couple of samples. I won't again go too deep into the actual quality of what I saw. Like I said, I think for the most part, the camera quality from first impressions seemed decent enough. I think if you're someone who prioritizes performance and a software experience over the camera experience, then the cameras on the OnePlus 13R from first glance would definitely feel like you'll get by with it. And also, if you're someone who maybe just shoots stuff to keep on your phone, like you're not planning to maybe use it for YouTube or video edit or put this on a bigger screen, then you'll more than likely be happy again with the camera experience here. Now, I do want to bring in real quick the OnePlus 13 and 13R as far as like the performance differences. So the easiest way to show you is definitely by numbers. I'll tell you right now, just by opening apps, signing into stuff, and just doing a little bit of gaming here and there, it was a great experience. It was fast, snappy, and reliable, but I was just curious how the optimization was. So, they have the same chipset, the OnePlus 12 and the OnePlus 13R, that being the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. But you can see here, this OnePlus 12 and the OnePlus 13R, somewhat similar. The multi-core score was slightly less on the OnePlus 13R. And then the OnePlus 13 itself actually was pretty close to the OnePlus 12 this time around, but the single core, I wouldn't say blew them out of the water, but it was definitely an improvement here. But overall, OnePlus 13, an improvement with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. And I was also curious about the GPU because they both, again, the OnePlus 12, OnePlus 13R share the same GPU versus the OnePlus 13 that has a slightly different GPU. Again, you can see OnePlus 13R, slightly less than the OnePlus 12, and OnePlus 13, better than both of them. And lastly, again, a couple more specs here. 3D Mark, this time with the Solar Bay stress test. And you can see OnePlus 13R and OnePlus 12 look pretty much the exact same as far as the performance here. OnePlus 13 definitely did a better job here at sustaining better FPS. And just to show you Wildlife Extreme here, again, OnePlus 13 definitely the best of the two. And then the OnePlus 13R and OnePlus 12, very similar. But again, the OnePlus 12 just barely gets a slightly better number. But again, these are just numbers. But in case you were curious, if you wanted to see that, you can take a look at those numbers and kind of judge based on that. But overall, from the real life experience, you're not going to notice much of a difference between all three of these devices. You'll be very happy with the performance with the cheaper model, OnePlus 13R, or if you have the previous model, OnePlus 12, or if you get with the flagship, obviously you better get the best experience and you'll get, yes, a more powerful device, but you'll get the exact same experience, honestly. So with all that being said, I definitely think the OnePlus 13R right now seems like a good buy. And I'll tell you, I paid $470 for it. I know I already mentioned that you can get it for $599 minus a $100 recycling reward, but I paid $476 or $470 because I pre-ordered or did an early bird, so I got an extra $50 off. So $470 for this device, I think it's a very good price for it so far. But again, this is just first impressions, and right now I'm in honeymoon, so I'm definitely feeling like I spent my money well with this device. At least I'm telling myself that. But we'll see in a full review. So I think what I'll end up doing though is switching between the 13 and the 13R back and forth. Maybe one day I'll be on 13, one day on 13R, just to see if I feel a difference. And then I'll be able to do a solid comparison to the OnePlus 12. So if you already have the OnePlus 12, obviously talk about whether you should get 13, or if you are coming from an older OnePlus device, should you look for a refurbished OnePlus 12 or should you get a brand new 13R? Oh, and one thing I do want to note real quick is that I wish more case manufacturers would make cases for these devices. I saw a lot of cases available on Amazon, but none of them really had any MagSafe cases. And nowadays, I feel like you got to have that magnet in the case. This is for the 13, and then this one's for the 12. I do have a 13R case on the way, but it's just not here yet, so I have to wait till it arrives. But either way, I definitely think it kind of sucks because any OnePlus device, honestly, it's sometimes difficult to find solid cases. Some of the bigger manufacturers do make a couple cases, but not the variety or the big range that they usually have for like the Samsungs and the iPhones or even the Pixels. But that's just a small nitpick that I want to note. So, and something that you may already know if you're already a OnePlus fan, or if you're watching this for the first time and had no idea about that, well, there you go. But either way, I hope this video was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.